The thing is, you listen to all these people right here, and they're talking about the fact that, look, there is some wiggle room here. The president said DACA's probably dead. And then you have, Dick Durbin saying, we're willing to work a little bit here. So there is some wiggle room to get this thing done, correct?
I mean, I'm not going to rule out them doing a DACA deal at some point, but from the sources I've talked to on the Hill, there's a general consensus that they're not going to have a deal by Friday, which is when Democrats wanted to see this agreement come together. Look, bipartisan discussions have totally broken down after reports about the president making those vulgar comments about African nations. Right now, we're seeing a lot of finger pointing on the Hill with top Trump allies saying Dick Durbin is a liar and made this up completely. We also see House Democrats saying they want to censure the president. There's also Democrats who are afraid to work with the president now because there's a fear of a backlash by the Democratic base if they work with a president who has said things like this in private. And lastly, there was a meeting on Friday between Republicans and Democrats in leadership, and from sources who are familiar with the meeting, it sounds like the comments from the president the day before were sort of hovering over everybody's heads. They were sort of entrenched in their position. There was no real negotiating going back and forth, and one source told me specifically he doesn't see them getting a DACA deal at all.
It's interesting, Rachel, because you say that the immigration deal is kind of broken down on both sides now, but has it broken down, or do you think that Democrats are kind of using these comments the president made, the vulgar comments the president made, as kind of a bargaining chip, saying, you know what, we can use this to maybe get a little bit more out of this deal, maybe get a little less security along the border, and then we'd be willing to talk a little bit?
It's a great question, and I do think that there are some Democrats who are pointing to these comments and thinking that it sort of bolsters their leverage. And I say that because in this meeting Friday, I was told that staffers for Steny Hoyer, the top Democrat in the House, doubled down on their position that they only want to do DACA and border security, but they are unwilling to negotiate on other immigration policies that the president would like to see, such as changes to chain migration, redoing the diversity lottery program. So I think there's a little bit of a split in the Democratic Party right now. Obviously, some of them want to position themselves, don't really want to cut a deal right now because they think it'll hurt them with the base. But then there are also Democrats who do want to make a deal. Think about Durbin, for instance, who agreed to make these changes that some of his own colleagues are angry at him for making that agreement.
And you have Democratic Senator Joe Manchin coming out today saying, look, this is an easy lift. We can get this thing done. The Democrats have already gotten a lot of the stuff they want in this deal. And the Democrats have to be a little concerned, Rachel, that if they don't pass this DACA bill in time, they've got to be worried about the Trump administration being a little aggressive when it comes to, to deportations of these dreamers.
Saying it's easy. Senator Manchin saying it's easy. That's certainly not the case, as we've learned from the past few weeks and months. I think the interesting thing here to watch is, do Democrats try to shut the government down over a lack of a deal Friday? From my sources on Capitol Hill, it sounds like the discussion has shifted from talking about, can we get a deal by Friday on DACA, to, oh no, we're not going to have a deal. What's plan B, and can we keep the government open? Right now, my Republican sources have been talking about doing a short-term spending agreement just until February to give themselves more time to negotiate. And Democrats previously in December, they backed a short-term agreement because they were afraid that if they shut the government down over DACA, that the president's going to say, look, Democrats are shutting the government down, trying to protect undocumented immigrants, and that won't play well with anyone, a lot of moderates as well, too. So I think that Democrats are not willing to strike a long-term budget agreement without DACA, but I think shutting down the government is a totally different issue, and I would be surprised if they do it.
And I think both sides are kind of loosening up a bit on both of those issues, and as the week goes by, I think you might see a little bit more willingness from both sides to cut a deal. Rachel Bade, love your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you.